We have a randomization distribution for testing a null of the difference in the population means being 0. The alternative is that the difference is different from 0. And so the statistic we would use or look at the distribution of in this picture would be the sample value that goes along with mu1 minus mu2, which would be the difference in the two sample means. And so we have 1,000 of these x bar 1 minus x bar 2 things plotted. And so part A asks us, if I have a value of x bar 1 minus x bar 2 being negative 2.9, so the difference in the two sample means is negative 2.9, would the p-value be closer to 0.01 or 0.25? So if we look at our picture and look at negative 2.9, that is pretty close here to negative 3. Because we have a two-tailed test or a not equal to in our HA, we want to think of like doubling this area to the left of that value. If we take that chunk, and even if we double it, that's definitely not 0.25 or a fourth of our graph. It's much closer to a very small percentage, so we'd say 0.01. So the area in the tails beyond negative 2.9 and 2.9 is closer to 0.01. So we could think of taking the 2.9 over here and taking those two areas. The p-value for 1.2 is that closer to 0.3 or to 0.6. Okay, so 1.2 is farther in the middle of the graph, much more likely here. So negative 1.2, positive 1.2 be about here. So we take these chunks. And in terms of the graph, that is not over half, so we're not going to get 0.6. So our answer for that would be closer to 0.3. Of the two values we have, which one provides stronger evidence to suggest that the null is not true? So the smaller p-value, or the values that are less likely, are going to be the ones that suggest the null is not true. So we can see that 1.2 is definitely likely to occur if we're really centered at 0 and the null is true, but the negative 2.9 is not. So negative 2.9 would be the answer there. The p-value being very small for negative 2.9 shows this sample value is not likely if the null is true. And that suggests then if that sample value was collected that the null probably is not true.